Okay, LibreOffice hole. This is just bragging rights for my distro, and that PC Linux has officially changed which Office installer it's loading with it. It's removed Get Open Office. It's now supporting LibreOffice. I personally think that as things stand now, that's probably the right thing to do. The real reason I bring this up is, do we think other Linux distros are going to be doing this? I know some others have too. I mean, do we think it's going to all become Libre Linux side, or do we think it's going to be about a 50-50 split?
I think that the majority of new distros that are popular will be using LibreOffice. Mainly, I think because Ubuntu's going to use it, and people are going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, that's the big guy and they're doing it, so there's nothing really, to keep us from, doing it. Because probably the main reason people are thinking of not doing it is to keep it normal. But, yeah.
Well, and
there's no real reason not to switch, since they're very much the same application.
At this point, as they grow going forward, there's going to be continued differences.
And I think that LibreOffice is going to be better.
It's personally, given the developers that left open and went to Libre, I would tend to agree. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think on this, Jordan? Do you think this is smart for everyone to be doing? Do you think they're casting their stones too soon?
Well, at the end of the day, LibreOffice is still just OpenOffice plus extra stuff. They're fork, but they're not really a fork. They're kind of Ubuntu to Debian, but not really, I guess. They're adding in additional features, but they're not removing anything, as far as I understand. So, in a lot of ways, unless they really do something to screw it up, it's better for a lot of distros to be moving to LibreOffice. And possibly in the spirit of getting to a place where Sun and Oracle is not the overriding authority on it, it might be better to move in that direction anyway.
Well, no, but this does bring up some interesting things, because that was the aspect I was going to bring in there, because this is basically the Linux community saying, screw you, Oracle. Do you think Oracle might pull a screw you back? I'm not sure they're in a position to do so, but it doesn't mean they wouldn't try.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it'd be the first time.
Currently contribute. I know that Sun contributed a lot to the Linux.
The Sun contributed a hell of a lot. That's why a lot of the stuff that Oracle bought is so screwed up now. Because that's why Libre. That's the whole reason Libre exists, because Sun contributed all of this, and Oracle basically said, "Well, we don't want contribution. We just want to kind of be a gum in the work."
Jordan, do you know anything that Oracle really contributes to the, Linux? They're a database company, but I know that IBM is a database company too, and IBM contributes a hell of a lot to Linux. I don't know. What does Oracle contribute? Anyone know?
I'm not. Jordan, can you think of anything?
That they have their own Linux distro, but I don't know if they're pushing anything upstream. I will admit,
I know they have their distro Unbreakable Linux, which I think is Red Hat compatible. But
it is Red Hat that they've taken and made their own distro out of.
So it's basically an OS2 in some ways. You remember IBM built OS2 on top of Windows, and that's.
I see. I don't see much upstream coming from Oracle. So
here's what I'm afraid Oracle's going to do. I'm afraid they're going to create a bunch of turmoil. They're going to do things like, as a way of getting back at people, they're going to start. They're going to say MySQL is no longer, so the MySQL, basically they're going to force everything to fork. If they try, that's what will happen. The same thing that happened with Libre. Everything will fork.
And I think that, if that happens, that all the distros will support it. I think that this is the right thing for the distro to do. They're not jumping the gun. The distros have every right and should support what is the Linux community, and that's not the Oracle version. That's the community version that actually contributes to Linux.
Now,
the other side of this is this may have taught Oracle a lesson that if you sort of screw with the community
community
they're
screws
willing
back.
to step away from you. Yeah. You may be a big giant in the corner with all of the money, but they don't necessarily need all of that as long as there's people that are willing to do the work.
Well, and that's the other thing. We think Oracle's maybe learned their lesson, and the other thing on that is... crap, I was going to say. I hope they have. I forgot what something else I was going to say, but damn it, now I've had a Jordan moment. It slipped my mind! It escaped! I don't want you using Ubuntu or Kubuntu right now. You're using Mint. You're back on Arc, aren't you?
I've been meaning to switch to Ubuntu. I'm probably not going to do it until Natty comes out, but I've been meaning to switch.
Okay. This is a valid question here, but since none of us are using Kubuntu right now, probably shouldn't address it. Probably should do a little research. This is something I get endless complaints about, and I don't want to go on Ubuntu/Kubuntu bashing right now without knowing what's actually causing it. But it's one of those things I've noticed. It doesn't really, for some reason, work as smooth. Do y'all know why that is, or is it just...
We should get out that we're talking about Flash.
Yeah, it's not this sign. It's Flash on sign. For some reason, it doesn't run as smooth over there, and it's the number one complaint out of people. I have never been... I know there is something that other distros are tweaking, but I can never find what it is. There's something being tweaked. It has to do more... I don't know if that's this particular person's case, like if you're doing hardware acceleration of any kind, or certain graphics cards or other things, it doesn't work smoothly. But they're like systems that in some cases are more system than mine, and mine does not have this jerkedness. So I know it is an Ubuntu Kubuntu issue, and I don't know if it's Ubuntu just hasn't pre-tweaked something, or...
Could it have something to do with the version of Flash?
In a lot of cases, these people are saying they're like on 10. They're on some version of Flash 10, so I'm...
Right, but I mean, the 10.1 versus the pre-release... Actually, didn't 10.2 just go final this week?
Yeah. I believe it did, actually.
So it might be worth checking to see what version they're on.
That might be what it is. Maybe they're...
I've had some significant improvements since I went to this version of Square on 64-bit. But I'm not on KDE and I'm not on Ubuntu, so I'm not going to say that's 100% that's what the problem is.
Well, no, and this person's on Kubuntu, which might be part of the issue, because Ubuntu, what tweaks Ubuntu does are done to be a GNOME distro. And, you can interchange them, but I've always had mixed results when you take a clearly KDE distro and make it a GNOME distro, or vice versa. You know, some things just aren't as optimized as they should be. So,
I don't know. I personally don't like Kubuntu because it does not get attention and it is buggy.
well, basically all it is it's the older version of Ubuntu with KDE slapped on top of it. And it's...
But they also slap on, they switch out all the GNOME apps for KDE apps, and it doesn't work as well with me. It doesn't work with wireless. A lot of times bugs pop up.
It's like it's Ubuntu untweaked, then rehashed. Then I'm not belittling Kubuntu in any way. I'm just there's so many things that have been done to Ubuntu to make it Kubuntu, like all the things you're talking about. Issues arise, and issues arise in Ubuntu all by itself, let alone Kubuntu. So,
yeah.
Congratulations, we've bashed on it, even though we didn't want to.
No, not that I don't like KDE. I just don't really like Kubuntu. I would prefer other, KDE distros. I've heard that Mint KDE is good. I know that PC Linux OS is good because I've tried it and it doesn't have the bugs that Kubuntu has. So,
this is one of my. I have like 3 complaints against PC Linux OS, and this is one of them. One of my complaints against PC Linux OS is when you sit down in front of PC Linux OS, its KDE is smooth. It's smoother than it is on any other system. A lot of things just work out of it. There's some tweaks they do that make some KDE bugs just not happen. There's all these things, PC Linux, and it leads to a great user experience. These are not overly documented so that other distros can incorporate them. Now, I know why, but it's one of those things, I really wish they were better documented so other people could reproduce them. Just because I think it'd be a win-win for the end user. But I mean, yeah, you can tear PC Linux apart and figure them out if with enough time, but it's one of those things, if they were clearly documented, it would become the standard for all KDE Linux distros. At least the parts that people like. So, I realize they also have their hands full running the distro than alone taking extra time to documentation, so that I know why that documentation doesn't exist. This is one of those things. It would be really nice if it did. I don't know if if you have anything to say on that, Jordan. Are you ready to move on?
I'm cool to move on.
Okay. Okay, on to the troll. Poor troll. He tried so hard to convince us. I guess we'll just go through this in order. Anything else? Go ahead, James.
Well, to go before, remember about all the time that we talked about how since Android apps are Java, that'd be really cool to see them running on Linux because, we just have to implement Dalvik.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was made. It's called Alien Dalvik, and it allows Android apps to run on non-Android devices, like Migo or even Ubuntu.
I read about that, and I've completely forgot about it, and now I've closed the page. Will you put the stupid link for that in here so I can add it to the show notes? Just add it.
I'll put it right below, yeah.
Yeah, right there. Exactly. Yeah, because that needs to be in the show notes here for people, because that is going to be a very useful, fun tool for desktop Linux, because the commercial industry, things like Netflix, Audible, all of these things, they're supporting Android full force. They're not supporting desktop Linux. So as a result of this, we get it. We get it now. We just have to emulate.
It's just, I guess they're seeing, such a big company behind Android. They're not seeing any big company behind desktop Linux.
Now, I've said that. The one question on that I was unclear on when I was reading that, and I need to do some more research on this, is how would you get the application that you download onto your Android phone onto your desktop? Because the ones we're all going to want are going to be the Netflix app and the Audible app and those, because you're not actually logged into the Google Marketplace.
Well, what I'm guessing is that just like you download Java, you download the JDK or what is it, the JDE, the environment, you download the Dalvik environment, and then you would just download a package, which is a .pkg or something, and then that would just run like it would on your phone.
Yes, assuming you can get the package. What I'm asking is this going to natively support the Google Marketplace, which is where most people are getting their packages for Android?
That is a matter of if Google wants it to. It definitely could. Google's Marketplace, it's not open source.
Right.
That's their marketing tool.
That's their marketing tool. But hopefully Google. I don't think they're going to support that either, which poses the question: how do you?
I don't think that they really should.
Okay, but see, that poses the question then: how do you get the application onto the Linux desktop? Because most of them are coming from the Android Marketplace.
I'm pretty darn sure you could pull applications that are installed from your phone.
Yes, that's honestly what this needs. It needs a built-in GUI into it where I plug in my Android phone and the USB and it recognizes it and just lets me pull the copy the app off.
I think eventually some hacker will do that, but I don't think you're going to have to worry about getting Netflix on, because I guarantee that will be the first thing that people find a way to run with this.
Oh, Oh, I'm absolutely sure on that. The same thing with things like Audible and all of this. Oh, I can finally have my content that I've been forbidden from legally using. Question is how long? Okay. Now that we've gotten the relevant stuff out of the way, those of you who don't care about trolls, you can leave. Those of you who want to have some fun, stay around.